First off, I got to say Happy New Year. It's 2025, and welcome to my podcast, Tough Dialogue with Thomas Austin. This is a Forever Undefeated Community exclusive. This idea, if you've been following me through social media, you probably saw this on like Instagram. I started this idea early last year, and I was like, you know what? Let me just turn it into a full podcast. You know, I had my supporters here in this community really rocking with me, and I was like, let me just do this for them. And I got to get my bars off, you know, with no instrumental track. But really, the reason that I wanted to start this podcast was because I think with social media, you get so you ignore the fact that stuff is really hard. Like, chasing the dream is tough. And I know some people say I make it look easy, and I'm here to tell you, chasing the dream not easy. Life in general, it's not easy. You're going to go through, hard times, challenges. So we're having this podcast, Tough Dialogue with Thomas Austin. I plan to have guests and for the episodes that I don't have guests, just speaking the truth, man, having these uncomfortable, tough conversations that, some people kind of ignore. And, I'm here to tell you, sometimes I do be going through it. I may make it look easy, but sometimes I do face challenges. It is what it is. But, man, just to recap 2024 real quick. It's like I had my first paid show. I did a couple performances around the country, able to travel, all expenses paid. And I was able to do it with people that I love to be around, man. That's the biggest thing, is being able to do the things that you love with the people you love to do them with. And I was very fortunate I think my family came to all the shows that I had last year except the first one. And I had a blast, man. I had a great time traveling with my guys, performing in front of my supporters, growing, all that. Social media kind of take off a little bit. I can't really, I'm putting it into words because it's the podcast, but it's like, man, when I think about it, it's kind of hard to put in words, but I'm gonna find a way to put it in words. But yeah, a lot of doors opened up last year. On the Radar, can't forget On the Radar. Did On the Radar. Just a lot of stuff, man. I went to the Bay Area for the first time. Made an album with Tote. We did the collab album. But yeah, I do have a story though about 2024 that I ain't really told nobody, because I didn't even think too much of it. But at the beginning of last year, 2024, I got fired from one of my jobs. Yes, one of my jobs. I had multiple jobs. So y'all see me posting and doing all this film content and all that. Yeah, I was working multiple jobs, doing all that. I really be doing this. Like, this is not just for play. This is not internet games. I really do this. But yeah, man, I had this job for probably about 2 years, and it was on some racist stuff. I ain't gonna lie. It was on some racist stuff. I was pretty much in charge of the technology behind a said company. And so for a year, I built them a website up, and I was running that. And then a year in, they bring in this person, and that person was supposed to basically help me on the job, right? Supposed to help me make my job easier, make my life easier. And so, we had a board meeting every 2 weeks or something like that, or every second day of the month, something like that. And I met this person at the beginning of January 2023, which was going on my second year with this job. And this person invited me out to dinner. They said they was going, they wanted to just chop it up and talk about how we can work together moving forward. And I let them know, like, this ain't the only job that I got. I make music, I do all kind of stuff. So my time is very valuable. And so said person was like, I understand that, how about we go to dinner, I pay for it, so it's worth your time and all that, da 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 da. So I agreed to do it. So boom, we go out to dinner. Keep in mind now, this is the first day or the first couple of days that I met this person. I met him at the board meeting, but it was just touch and go. So this is the first time that I'm actually meeting this person, and we go out to dinner, and they just chopping it up. They seem so nice and all this. It's an older individual, I must say. It was an older individual. And, they just started talking about stuff that was going on with the job. It's like places that it can improve and all that. And they pointed out the lack of minorities on the job. It was only me and one of my family members on the job. And she was like, I think that's definitely something we should change. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And in my head, I'm thinking she trying to say, we need more minorities, more equality. That's what I'm thinking. And whole time she was plotting. So a couple minutes later, she was like, I know you may not want to hear this, but it may be best if you resign. And I was like, what? And in my head, I'm like, I know this woman ain't just say. She's like, yeah, I know it's tough, but for the betterment of the company, I think it'd be best if you resign. And at that point, I'm all the way thrown off. Like, I don't even know this person. Like, we just met, and you coming in, don't even really know my job description, and you telling me I should resign for the betterment of the company? I'm like, what's going on? So I'm texting somebody. I'm like, man, this woman is crazy. She about to make me say something that I'm gonna regret saying. But I held composure. I kept my composure. And I just remember I was like, I don't even know what I said, to be honest. I was so thrown off. But anyway, we left, and from that day forward, all 2023, it's just, it was just a pressure over my shoulder. Like, they started colluding against me, man. They started they would do stuff, little tic-tacky stuff. Like, they'll try to get somebody else to do my job and act like, they don't need me, or start to put people in places to do different stuff that I was doing, to ultimately get to the point where it's like, what is he doing? What do we need him for? And so we got to the end of 2023, and it was at its peak worst. And they pretty much hired somebody to do what I was doing while they were still paying me. So I wasn't really tripping, but I saw the writing on the wall, because I was still getting paid. And if they wanted to go behind my back and pay somebody to do, what they paying me to do, that's fine, And at the beginning of 2024, they finally was like, we decided to fire you. Didn't get a reason why. I did not get a reason why or explanation to why I got fired or whatever. So at that point, it was a side job. So, I made pretty decent money at my job that I have now. And so that job was actually kind of like icing on the cake. Like, it was like an extra $1,200 a month that I was using strictly for music, whether production or traveling, taking trips and whatever. So I had got used to pretty much having $1,200 a month to just pretty much play with it. And when I knew it was gonna be gone, I was like, man, thinking about how expensive music is. I'm like, man, I don't know how much music I'm gonna be able to put out and stuff like that going into 2024. And I was like, you know what? I ain't even tripping. They've been plotting on me for a year. I'm like, you know what? I'm cool. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna really use this opportunity to trust God with my career. So at the beginning of last year, I was determined. I said, you know what? This whole year, I'm just gonna trust God with how everything plans out. And kid you not, I mean, the way the year planned out, I forgot I had that job. You know what I'm saying? I it took me to the end of the year to reminisce and think back. It's like, man, I really got fired. But it really did turn into a blessing in disguise. Like I said, it forced me to really trust God in that situation, because I'm like, where I'm gonna get this extra money from, and da 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 da. And lo and behold, last year I finally had some social media traction. And like I told you, first page shows, I'm doing features, I'm traveling, doing all these things to the point where I forgot about that extra $1,200 I was getting a month. Not to say I'm, balling, but it's just the stuff was kind of paid for, and I didn't really have to come out of pocket for a lot of things. So it's like, man, from that point on, that was like my proof to really double down and trust God in my career. So that's kind of where I am now. Going through that whole situation, I didn't feel like it was a story worth telling, but at the same time, I did feel like it was a story worth telling. For the sake of the pod, I need something to talk about. But also to let people know things happen in life. You know what I'm saying? The internet make everything look easy. Obviously, I ain't posting, hey, I just got fired today, guys. It's just kind of like one of those things. It is what it is. Keep it pushing. Really determined to not, let anything stop me. So it really didn't faze me at all. I maybe thought about it for a couple of days, but then I was like, you know what? I'm off of that. But it's what's crazy. It got all the way down to the point where I was low key about to sue. Like I had a lawsuit pending, but I ended up not pursuing the lawsuit because I think I got the right to sue like 6 months later. I really didn't care no more. And then for me to sue, it was a part-time job, so they kind of had protection with that. And it's like, man, I'm so blessed right now. I ain't even thinking about that. So if they still think about me, it is what it is. I really could care less. But yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the crazier situations that I like. I ain't ever expected to happen, but man, the way the year played out, I like I said, I was able to go on some crazy platforms. That New York trip to do On the Radar, that was probably one of the best trips of my whole year, 2024. That was one of the craziest trips. I ain't gonna lie, that was one of the craziest trips I ever had. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, that's kind of how 2024 played out. But I want to get into like this whole New Year's resolution thing. I used to be big on like on the first day of the year, I'm a new year, new me. You know how people say, but it's not even about that. I don't even think about that no more. I like to take advantage of every day. So the last 3-4 days of 2024, I wouldn't really focus on 2025. I'm trying to take advantage of every day. So it really wasn't a new year, new me on January 1st. It's more so improve 1% every day, regardless of what day it is. And so I don't really think about New Year's resolutions to that degree. But going into 2025, man, this is the year of walking into those doors that open in 2024, like really taking advantage of opportunities, creating opportunities, really doing it, man. And starting off with the show that I got January 11th, like for at least half of the year last year, I was talking about it, man. I want to do a show, going and performing with other people. I'm like, man, I got to do this for myself. And I kept talking it up. And then I announced it on my birthday last year. And once I put it out to the world, I got to do what I said I was going to do. It's no cap in my rap. Like, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, period. Like, that's just how I am. That's just who I am. And if it's something that I really want, I'm going to go after it relentlessly with reckless abandon. I'm chasing after it, whatever it is. And I'm kind of stubborn to the point where it's like, if I get denied a couple times, it's like, if God ain't denied, I'm still going. Now, if God shut it down, then we're gonna let it go. But until the one who really called the shot shut it down, I'm pursuing relentlessly. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and it's crazy to think that is really happening. And shout out to everybody that I got pulling up, performing with the kid. Like, I appreciate them too. But yeah, it's about execute, man. Really creating those opportunities. And I look forward to that. Like, I'm already planning shows out that I want to do. And basically setting myself up to live the life that I want to live. You don't have to wait to live the life that you want to do. You just got to put in the work, keep going, working consistently, because if it's one thing I noticed last year was I like to travel. I like to travel with my people, and I like to perform. Okay, so how can I do more of that in 2025? Number one, instead of me sitting back and waiting on somebody to call me or book me or whatever, I can call venues and set shows up myself. That's one way, along with the bookings. But that's one way I can guarantee that I'm going to do what I want to do is by calling, placing, booking and doing the stuff myself. So that's what I'm going to do. Another thing is that I like to say is leave empty. That's how this podcast came about. Any idea that comes about, do it. Don't think twice about it. And so, yeah, leave empty, doing it. And that's really all it is to it. Execution. We ain't making no excuses. We've been not making no excuses. But yeah. So this is Tough Dialogue with Thomas Austin. Like I said earlier. And no, it ain't no dialogue because I don't have a guest today, but I do kind of want to touch on something that I had to kind of deal with, a tough situation that a lot of people probably don't really think about it that much, probably get brushed under the rug, but I think it's worth noting. And that's kind of like what it takes to transform yourself into the person that you want to be. And I want to say probably the last 5-6 years or so, what I had to do to lock in on a goal, pretty much transform myself into the person that I am today, is tough because it comes with isolation. It comes with a feeling of being misunderstood. It comes with a feeling of being left out, or missing out rather, not being left out, missing out. And yeah, I started making music close to, I think, my junior year of college. So, close to being done with college. And around that time, it's all cool. You're doing everything with your friends. But then when it's time to graduate and the real world starts, people move away. You already isolated just off of that. And then when you really focus on the goal and you really locked in and working, you even more isolated off of that. You know what they say? You got to isolate to elevate sometimes. And so just thinking about the amount of isolation that I forced myself into to really focus on a craft, really, I don't want to say it's an unhealthy amount, but it kind of get tough, and you kind of lose some of the human elements of yourself when you let the grind get too, like, when you get too focused on the grind and it becomes an idol per se, you kind of lose the human element of it. And a couple years, I probably did get to the point where like my career was an idol. I could probably admit that. And then more so these last couple years, I've been able to travel and do more collaborative stuff and just be less isolated or be more open to collaboration and stuff like that, and really putting God first and not put my career first. And I think it's got better. But it's like, man, just to think, it's like certain conversations. I was at a point where I'm still kind of at that point where like small talk conversations, I really don't like them. Like I really can't tolerate too many small talk conversations. It just made me want to leave the room. A lot of people that I knew from the past, we can't even really have a real conversation no more because it's like the type of stuff that we was on, foolishness, it's not entertaining to me. I don't find it entertaining. It's a waste of brain capacity. And, it's tough because you gravitate away from certain people but you meet new people and you gravitate towards them. And I kind of just realized that as I got put into familiar situations or situations that I had been in the past, and they just didn't feel the same. Like I come across people that I once knew and they didn't feel the same. And that's kind of how you know, like if people that you used to deal with, if you can't really tolerate them no more, then it's not that you better than anyone. I don't want to feel like just because I'm a certain amount of locked in that I'm better than anyone. It's just like it's just priorities, man. I don't know really. I don't really know how to say it. It's just certain stuff you just don't care about no more. So the common interest that you had with each other, you just don't have them no more. But that's just a part of life and growth, to be honest with you. Cause I met some amazing people last year, and I'm planning on continuing to meet some amazing people that locked in with the same common goal and stuff like that. But those 4, 5, 6 years was tough. That was tough. Like I really locked in, focused, put my everything into my career. Like I said, it almost to a point where it was an idol, and that's not healthy. I do not recommend anybody doing that. Put God first, career second. You know what I mean? But yeah, it took me actually doing it though to realize that I don't need to be doing that. And now I'm kind of at the point where I start to let in other things in my life. Starting to let in, different relationships, different opportunities and stuff like that. And it's rewarding. I ain't gonna lie. It's very rewarding. I feel like a new person. Like I'm more sociable than I ever been. I like to mind my business and lock in, but I'm way more sociable than I ever been, and it's cool. I love to collaborate now. As far as in the past, I didn't really care to collaborate. That's one of the most fun things about music and this career, and meeting people that support you, meeting people that do the same thing you do. It's great. It's super fun. So yeah, I will say that's definitely one thing that you kind of will deal with though when chasing the dream. Feeling like you're missing out. You see friends and all that, and they doing all this stuff that you may deem or consider fun, and you at the house writing songs, putting in work, and it's like, dang, I want to do that. But I got to a point where I didn't even want to do that. Like I didn't care to do that. I was so focused, locked in. I didn't want to do that. But it's good to have fun every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? And also it's good to enjoy what you do, because if you're doing music as a get rich quick scheme, it ain't gonna work. It's actually, whoever told you it's a get rich quick scheme, they lied to you, because it's actually the opposite. But yeah, that's kind of that. But yeah, I didn't want this episode to be too long, but so I'm kind of gonna cut it at that. But I do want to leave with this remark. This is gonna be my closing remark, and it's gonna be posed as a question. And it's, for all of you who have a dream, a goal, and a desire, you chasing that passion, you doing all that, I gotta know, or ask yourself, is it a selfish ambition, or is it really what God is leading you to do as far as your purposes is concerned? Because what I've also realized is you can pursue things that you love to do and you're passionate about, but it's not really in line with your purpose at all. It's something that you want to do. It's not really serving anybody else but yourself. And in that case, it's more so selfish ambition. So ask yourself, is it selfish ambition? And I feel like a good way to distinguish if it is or not is just to remember, why are you doing it? How is it serving others? Is what you're doing really serving others? If you took out your gain in the situation, can you still do it? Because a lot of times when you go against God to do certain things and you get it, you kind of got to go against God to maintain it and keep it. So, like if I'm pursuing something that I know I've been told no about by God, and I just keep on just determined I'm going to get this. Well, if I do get it, I got to keep going against my purpose to keep it. So keep that in mind. Is your passion your purpose, or is it selfish ambition? And I'm gonna leave it at that. This is the first episode, Tough Dialogue with Thomas Austin. I am excited about this show to really dig into some tough topics. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all the real harsh truth. Sometimes you just gotta have the harsh truth. Sometimes you just gotta be faced with the harsh truth. It is what it is. So, I plan on having some guests on. So we're gonna discuss some hard truths. I got the show coming up next week. I'm gonna try to get some of my guys on the podcast and see how that goes. But yeah, Tough Dialogue with Thomas Austin. I'm sure if you seeing this, you're in the Forever Undefeated Community. So you know my socials, official Thomas Austin. Haven't decided if I'm gonna put these on YouTube, anything yet. Right now, it's Forever Undefeated exclusive. So for all of you in this community supporting, I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Until next time.